Hello, ladies and gentlemen. For, I guess, official Divine's Christmas gift, I will be debunking, or not even debunking his video. That's not the only thing I'll be doing, but also pointing out his dishonestness. Some might even say disinformation in regards to the topic of Goku versus Superman. In addition to that, I will also be pointing out the clear and blatant bias of both him as well as his associate, who I believe is named Drip Sauce, if memory serves correctly. I will not only show their blatant Dragon Ball scaling bias, but then also show as well as state some more reasonable or show and state some more reasonable and less biased quote unquote power scalers of Dragon Ball. To note, I wouldn't say personally I partake in power scaling per se, only that I have an awareness of it, which is necessary for even someone who's not interested in fictional battles, as to not properly understand the relation of power between characters in a series, or to understand the inconsistencies of it, debilitates your ability to properly understand and read and analyze the work of fiction mostly that you are reading and or mythology. But with that, let's begin. Happy holidays. Official Divine, I know you're Christian, so Merry Christmas to you. And let's get this party started. I will not be going into how he supposedly, I can't say with certainty, but had a video by another YouTuber named Jobbers and Goons, disliked, bombed, or whatever it is, the phrasing is. But allegations and all of that aside, let's get into your horrendous takes and let's see where you have Goku. Psst, it's not where he should be.
Versus Superman. For 20 years, this matchup still can't be decided. The face of strength for comics and the bar to reach for anime. Two aliens from distant destroyed worlds landing on Earth and growing to protect the weak with overwhelming strength. So who would win? The man with the strength beyond the god?
To be clear, this dude's editing, if this really is all his, I can't say with certainty, but if this is like mostly him, like, dude, your editing is impressive. Definitely top tier. Of course, you're entitled to your own opinions and beliefs in regards to characters, but I draw the line at blatant disinformation, as well as the fact that as someone who's watched your channel for the past several months on TikTok, where you're bigger, social media wise, I found myself rather surprised as well as disappointed at the inclusion of Drip Sauce's pathetic attempt at a cosmological analysis. Saying those words followed by his name alone feels highly bizarre, peculiar, and even vexing. And in addition to this, I am more so disappointed in the fact that you permitted this scale to be stated when you yourself do not agree with it. And I know you're capable of understanding the DC universe and multiverse to know that what he said was blatantly false and a lowball.
Gods versus the man with the form that gods cannot reach.
Blah, blah,
It's
blah.
with Superman having some of the most ridiculous lifting strength feats that I've ever seen. With Superman being able to bench press the weight of the entire Earth for 5 days straight, with the Earth weighing 6 septillion tons. Superman was also able to lift 200 quintillion tons with just a single arm. Superman was also able to pull billions of planets linked by a chain from a dying galaxy. And just Superman's sneeze is so powerful that he can rip apart solar systems. Yeah, Top that, Saitama. Superman also lifted a book of infinite pages.
Oh, sorry to stop the video right there. But firstly, this is incredibly dishonest as Superman's held up the heavens. And Atlas literally said like the heavens is in the like the realm of the pantheon of Zeus and the Olympians. If you look at the DC multiverse map, which I'm sure everyone and their mother has seen at this point, you can clearly see that it is in a Platonic archetypal realm. We'll get into that nonsense you said about it being fourth dimensional. Pathetic. Later, but yeah. Additionally, this Book of Infinite Pages feat you're about to bring up was A, done by Ultraman, who Superman is stronger than, and B, they're in limbo. So, yeah, the multiverse entering like a place like the God Sphere already, they already have to be increased in size as even universes, and the Earth would be microscopic in the like the God Sphere it's called. You can read the New Gods run about that. I want to say issue 7, 1997, where Siva, Orion, and Superman face a entity named Siva who threatened to dance and destroy all of creation. But yeah.
Oh. With Superman fighting against beings that can rip apart universes and make it look easy too. Post-crisis Superman in a fight with himself, Golden Age Superman was able to rewrite timelines and shatter the space-time continuum, with it being stated multiple times that they were going to shatter
Just to be clear, Superman Red and Superman Blue performed a similar feat. Now, whilst it is both like amplified versions of Superman, I'd like to note that yeah, Superman has done this sort of feat without his counterpart in the past before. But even if you were to bring this up, Goku in canon, like canon Super Goku, has no immunity whatsoever to timelines getting rewritten. As for Dragon Ball Heroes, I'm sure he would probably be well equipped and acclimated to such a vicissitude, seeing as how he's literally a part of a group called the Time Patrol. But even still, that is debatable, and Superman has broken out of hypertime in Superman issue 1000, where Vandal Savage trapped him within it. Hypertime, unlike regular time, is considered a cube, which is to say, well, firstly, it's not time, it's not the concept of time, it's a higher dimensional concept, as seen by the fact that it's literally beyond God, as well as the fact that it's connected to all the non-canon stuff like Elseworld. And it's basically how DC explains Elseworld existing and the multiverse existing after they destroyed it in post-crisis. Similarly, Hypertime's basically like the multiversal variants for the new gods. They can exist in infinite forms throughout hypertime, whereas in regular time they're infinitely projected down because it's a lower concept. But yeah, Superman off the rip has speed feats that speed and strength because he broke out of a hypertime trap feats that surpass any version of Goku. Once I can't say I know all versions of Goku, but up to Dragon Ball Heroes definitely. Once again, read into Superman issue 1000. But yeah.
each other's universes, and we even see them rewriting timelines with their fists, with Superman also having 1/5 of the power of the Big Bang.
Why are you bringing this up? You literally said yourself that he's fought beings who have the power of universes being infinite as well as infinite dimensional in DC, or at the very least, like, what, four-dimensional? Infinite fourth dimension of time?
Against the high intellect Brainiac on 13 different occasions, with Brainiac being able to destroy timelines and rewrite universes, with Superman also being able to tank the force of the entire antimatter.
I'd like to add for Brainiac, not only has he beaten Brainiac 13, who's a ravager of timelines, and not even the strongest form, Superman in base punched an entity commonly called God Brainiac, a threat to Darkseid as well as even the monitors. And when this Brainiac was hit, every variant of him across like crises felt it. Suffice to say, you can argue that Superman is hitting him like through hyper time, or that he's hitting him through multiverses as shown by like Pariah and whatnot in the Great Darkness stuff. That's kind of an interpretation I wouldn't go with, but at the very least, he's hitting him on the most fundamental version of himself because he's affecting all of them across like all of time, space, hyper time, and even retcons. Superboy Prime, eat your heart out, but yeah.
Universe right to the face. Superman fights.
Whoa. Let's not have him trick you guys. The antimatter universe had almost all of the DC multiverse, which is infinite in pre-crisis. All of those infinite universes and the infinite number of said infinite universes was absorbed into it minus 10 of them, if I remember correctly. Suffice to say, infinity is still infinity, even with 10 subtracted. So he took on basically a multiverse, at the very least, multiverse level, like, explosion or antimatter. Excuse me. Additionally, the antimatter realm is a part of the tripartite multiverse, meaning it should be equal, at least, to the positive matter multiverse, which includes up to the monitors who, I'm pretty sure everyone has them at least the term 1A, like outerversal, quote unquote. But, yeah. The monitors also happen to be beyond limbo, a place where concepts and stories are forgotten, which is the edge of the multiverse, which has literal archetypes. But that's a whole other debacle I'll get into a little later. But yeah, let's continue.
Against Nebula Man, who is a literal walking universe. Superman even fights against Monarch, whose destructive power was stated to be unparalleled, even comparing it to the Big Bang. And in Monarch's fight with Captain Atom, they were literally twisting space and time.
Captain Adams fought Necron, 1. And 2, Monarch literally had the monitors scared. He was planning and fighting with monitors. Like I said, entities who existed beyond the literal edge of the multiverse where things cease to exist and cease to be remembered as concepts, as stories. It's where stories go to die, where they end, which I'm pretty sure you can't quantify in like dimensions or anything, but that's like what, like another level of existence conceptually.
And causing composed universes to explode, with Captain Atom himself being able to create his own universes. But speaking of universes, let's talk about the DC cosmology and address some of the misconceptions. But
here comes the absolute well, I'm sure there are a myriad of expletives that have been used as well as could be used to describe this disinformation campaign, even. I'll call it a campaign, that Divine introduces. Now, I am not yet going to, but I will be showing at a later point in this video divine scaling from 2022 of DC characters. And yeah, let's see this nonsense. Am I right, people?
Instead of me talking about it, I'll let Drip handle it.
Hello everyone, Drip here. DC's cosmology has been overrated for years. There's many implications of the DC cosmology being dimensional in nature.
I would like to add before he says anything, he's incredibly biased. I'll show that later on in the video, but I'm pretty sure he had Dragon Ball at infinite layers into outer reversal. As someone who doesn't really power scale, in especially Dragon Ball in particular, but being aware of like the word and the definition and whatnot, no one, and I mean no one, even trolls have not said this before. So, it's a pretty far out opinion and a very biased one. And oh look, wait, who's he scaling? Goku in Dragon Ball. His favorite and most biased verse ever. But let's get on with it, eh?
The arguments people try to make to say that it's platonic or contains infinite dimensional constructs are pretty insane, considering the fact that said infinite dimensional statements don't even exist. Simply having a statement claiming there to be parallel worlds and infinite
Alright, that literally right there is in reference to a fifth dimension. Not fifth dimension as in mixophilic, but a fifth dimension of gravity, a higher dimension, spatial dimension, 2 steps removed from your own, aka the third dimension, which Deadman is from. And she is talking about innumerable dimensions. Logically, if she was talking about a higher dimension, she would not be saying innumerable higher dimensions, right? Or not innumerable higher dimensions of the single fifth dimension, but rather innumerable higher dimensions superior to the third dimension. Furthermore, there are author statements that support this, as well as a myriad of comic book scans that support this, which I will not waste your time with showing, but I am aware of individuals who understand DC much more, and unlike me, have the time and patience to deal with the complete lunacy and hypocrisy that is this elucidation upon DC Comics. But yeah, I'll plug their channels or his channel down below. He also made a video about it, Lumos Thermax, in addition to Jobbers and Goons. But yeah, let's continue with the nonsense, right?
dimensions could just simply be affirming both the quantity and the quality of the same thing, as it is a common trope used in fiction to represent parallel worlds and universes. Not to mention that Paul Jenkins literally debunked that claim and admitted his previous statement was a misunderstanding. The bleed.
Firstly, that doesn't show you the full context of his statement. Go on Twitter yourself. That sounded horrendous. Go on Twitter yourself. Maybe don't do that, but definitely at Drip Sauce. He has a TikTok. He has a YouTube. At him and say, hey, yo, send me the full link. Send me the full quote and whatnot for the DC cosmology thing that Paul Jenkins was talking about. If he responds to you and he happens to expose himself, please let me know. That would bring a laugh to my day. The same way I laugh about many of these horrendous narrative as well as cosmological misunderstandings of a myriad of fictional series, which more so points out the collective illiteracy of our society today. But yeah, let's go.
Being pan-dimensional is literally in context to it containing all the universes, and it has been referred to
the dimensions aren't universes and dimensions are pretty distinct though. Pan-dimensional as well as the term omnidimensional are used. In addition to this, Kismet is described as an either 11th dimensional or 12 and a third dimensional entity. So at the very least, they're up to 12 and a third dimensions. Additionally, Mxyzptlk in World's Finest has referred to decimal or fractionally numerated dimensions. But yeah, like I said, there are people who made cosmology videos on this, and who, unlike me, will not mess up their explanation, nor will they grow impatient.
As a hyperspace on multiple occasions. Another thing is that they play.
Hyperspace is not defined as merely a fourth dimensional space, but rather as a higher space period. Let's look up the definition now, shall we? A concept relating to higher dimensions as well as parallel universes and a faster-than-light method of interstellar travel. At what point in any of that does it mention purely a fourth-dimensional space? Now, the concept of hyperspace in the real world has been used in a fourth-dimensional sense, but only because we are only capable of comprehending the fourth dimension, as higher dimensions, such as the fifth one, are incomprehensible to us. But hypothetically, they would also be hyperspaces or bulk spaces, brain spaces. There are a myriad of aliases and sobriquets for the same concept. Hyperspace is merely a higher dimensional space. It is not exclusive to the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, the 11th dimension of string theory, the 26th dimensions of bosonic string theory, etc., etc., Hilbert spaces, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure I'm telling you things you have heard before to an extent. But, yes, back to the complete nonsense that was drip sauce.
Is literally and could simply just be dismissed as a is literally in context to it containing all the universes, and it has been.
Beware what is about to be said here is truly disturbing in both a sense of power scaling and shows a reason why I don't associate with the community typically, if ever, as well as a media illiterate individual. But yeah, let me just hear him, or let's just hear him spew this other trash out of his mouth.
Referred to as a hyperspace on multiple occasions. Another thing is that the Platonic statements come from Batman, so it could simply just be dismissed as a knowledge claim. However,
the recording cut out, but suffice to say, Batman in the JLA run dealt with fifth dimensional imps along with the rest of the Justice League. One of them was able to cast Spectre into a far realm beyond heaven, i.e. the God Sphere, which we've been over before, but he made a theory about the imps and was correct about them. I'll pull up the scan right now, actually. Alrighty, so Flash says, so Johnny Thunder's Thunderbolt isn't a genie, it's an imp from the fifth dimension like Mxyzptlk? Batman worked this out, right? Alright. Just to be clear, he is speculating about an entity who exists higher on the ontological scale than even the God Sphere. Like I said, you should read these issues, but suffice to say, even fifth dimensional entities, which is a plane of existence, of imagination, are capable of manipulating hypertime as well as time and overspace with no difficulty. Flash later on confirms this theory, as well as the comic itself confirming the theory, is Nilkiz are both princes from the fifth dimension and are fifth dimensional entities. But Yeah, I'll link that, or not link it, but list it down below.
Space on multiple occasions. Another thing is that the Platonic statements come from Batman, so it could simply just be dismissed as a knowledge claim. However, the truth of the matter is that Platonism scales absolutely nowhere and only entails subjective concepts which have no universally applicable axioms to rest on, such as love, beauty, and anger.
You'll see how this is ironic.
Statements regarding the existence of higher dimensions are taken out of context. The almost 2,000 dimensional scan is from a could simply just be dismissed as a knowledge claim. However, the truth of the matter is that Platonism scales absolutely nowhere and only entails subjective concepts which have no universally applicable axioms to rest on, such as love, beauty, and anger. Multiple statements regarding the existence of higher dimensions are taken out of context. The almost 2,000 dimensional scan
This, I hate to tell you, Drip Sauce, in case you were either dyslexic and or complete ignoramus, or, oh right, providing mass disinformation to 70,000 plus people. Well, 70,000 minus 2, seeing as how 2 YouTubers have made a video on your, blatant dishonesty, though they haven't called it that quite yet. As someone familiarized with your nonsense, I am not only willing, but glad to call it as it is. This literally says a theoretical snowflake existing in 196,833 dimensional space, where you just then said 2,000 dimensional. No. Now, to be clear, if it's saying this, it is saying that this snowflake existed within 1,986 or 196,833 dimensional space. Assuming this is directly ascending above our own, it's in 196 plus, or 196,000 plus additional dimensions, easily. But, yeah. Let us continue. If you, like, really, at this point, pick your poison. You're either really stupid, which is possible, but I doubt it, or you're providing disinformation, which is the truth. But hey, whatever you want to claim that makes people hate you less and gets you into less controversy.
Is from a computer model about a theoretical model of the universe, and I don't think I need to explain why those two factors alone debunk the claims. Another statement about
there are a myriad of computers and technological entities such as Brainiac and Darkseid who have understood and worked in regards to literal concepts as well as higher dimensions. Additionally, in Final Crisis, Batman, without the usage of a computer, via his own mind and understanding, correctly understood that Orion was shot and the bullet was found to be 40 years old, that Orion was shot out of the literal God sphere itself, a place that's beyond time and space, into space-time, falling into the universe, and the bullet was shot from the future into the past and kept going from that person's future into Orion, then threw him with enough momentum to end up 40 years in the past. Mind you, he was correct about this, meaning a computer, which unlike Batman, is less likely to make mistakes, as well as is zeros and ones, meaning it's a perfect understanding and not just theoretical, well, theoretical, yes, maybe, but also an actual logical understanding that would be superior to Batman's in every sense. It literally said that there were that many dimensions, so that sort of doesn't work.
dimensions is easily refuted by the fact that dimensions don't explode, and the scan has conflicting conditions, as 11 dimensions are stated to be unquantifiable, which makes no sense whatsoever. The 8 dimension
11 dimensions is obviously a reference to string theory, which I wouldn't be surprised if you at the very least didn't know about, or maybe you do and lie about. But yeah, let's continue.
arguments come from the scan where the top has no relation to the bottom, as simply talking about reading a book with an 8th dimensional.
This guy is like, excuse my language, starting to actually piss me off, bro. This is complete and utter nonsense on every concept of the level. Not only is this by Grant Morrison, as someone who is marvelous with writing higher dimensional structures and conceptual structures into his literature for DC, as well as Marvel, but also this says a Mobius loop. For those of you who do not know what this is, because you guys just, for whatever reason, like, it's not exactly common knowledge, but for those of you who don't know what it is, a Mobius strip is in reference to a paper that, when folded, is two-dimensional, but curves around itself in such a way that it becomes three-dimensional. So, logically, when Captain Atom, a guy who later on grows understanding of the literal cosmic armor, as well as the story that it's meant to be in Final Crisis, when he says this Mobius loop is going through 8 dimensions, or curving through 8 dimensions, what's more likely? A, that a Mobius strip, something literally based off the concept of folding a lower dimensional object into a higher dimensional dimension, is an eighth higher dimension, or that it's in 8 separate lower dimensions, despite being literally named after the Mobius strip. Everyone watching this is clearly going to go with 8 higher dimensions. If you don't, I'm sure that I can explain in the comments below how the Mobius strip and Klein bottle work. But yeah, this is possible. This is possibly misinformation, but by the fact that he literally could look this stuff up, I highly doubt it.
Mobius curve within its story doesn't imply that that's what's being referenced in the bottom part of the scan. It simply says he's from a higher dimension, which is true, and he calls the world 3D, so any claims about DC's atoms being boundless are easily contradicted by the source material. Not to mention referenced as spatial. He's from a higher dimension, which is true, and he calls the world 3D, so any
he's talking to the audience, 1. And 2, there is Earth 33, reading to Infinite Frontier and the Dark Crisis stuff, but Earth 33 has a fictional transcendence above all the other universes in the order of worlds, meaning, at the very least, the bleed being pan-dimensional means it contains all dimensions that are real, or that are, like, you viewing someone else's, like, fiction. Does that make sense? Or at the very least, it contains a dimension like that, in addition to higher spatial dimensions. So, fun stuff, I guess. Yeah.
claims about DC's atoms being boundless are easily contradicted by
I have not heard anyone make that claim. With Marvel, it's a different story, definitely. But even still, DC does have things like the microverse, so I'm not even gonna cook you right there, because, like, let me put it this way. I could make this video easily as long as the entirety of Christmas Day if I chose to. But, yeah.
source material. Not to mention the 5th dimension has actually been referenced as spatial dimensions. multiple.
This is only saying that the fourth dimension of time it's endless in the fifth dimension, but it isn't on Earth. You might be going, well, doesn't that mean the fifth dimension is a dimensional? No. Firstly, Perpetua is described as being on the sixth dimension, the highest plane of existence. Similarly, in Justice League Volume 4, 2018, Mixoplitic explains his dimension as being a plane of existence. When he's talking about dimensions, he's talking about planes of existences, not spatio-temporal or spatial-temporal dimensions, such as the third, fourth, fifth, 26th, 136,894th dimensions. Additionally, we have evidence that isn't cut off and used out of context. Crazy. Yeah, we have evidence to clearly indicate that the fifth dimension is beyond time and beyond dimensionality. As I already gave my elucidation upon hypertime, I'm pretty sure that this will help put everyone else's doubts to rest. I will be listing a series of DC storylines to read into if you want to look into this for yourself. I will also link a YouTube channels as well as explanation videos for the DC multiverse. Now, I may not agree with everything said in the videos, but they will definitely explain them much more or much better, more better, superlative and all that, much better than I can with more depth, and unlike this guy, will not be disinformation. Just to specify, disinformation is not only telling misinformation, but telling it with the intent of deception. But yeah, let's get to the really weird word called evidence that Drip Sauce doesn't seem to be capable of using in its totality. Guys, no YouTuber, and I mean literally none of them, to my knowledge, have ever mentioned how even Batman calls the fifth dimension a higher plane of existence in this comic run before Perpetua is ever described as being on a higher plane of existence, before 2018. This should have been clear from the get-go. And I'm honestly surprised not many people have talked about or gone over this run before. But yeah, let's get more into our good old thing called evidence. Here, the Rock of Eternity is being described as beyond time and space, which, if meant in a fifth-dimensional sense, would make it fifth-dimensional. But it's clearly not being called fifth-dimensional or described as fifth-dimensional, and it's not saying beyond our time or our space, or any other thing that would indicate exclusively the third dimension, and the third spatial dimension, and the temporal dimension that we know of. Additionally, it's at the center of the bleed, and sort of beyond it too. Additionally, the fifth dimension, is just is or the fifth dimension. Like I said, they literally sent Spectre off into some other world. The Spectre has been sent to this material or the edge of the universe, and he's been imprisoned there. And they're literally seeing this from heaven. Zoriel is describing this as a force outside of creation, and he knows of up to heaven. So this definitely implies that the fifth dimension is beyond the archetypes and whatnot. Additionally, the wizard stands alongside Highfather and Ganthet and other entities who would view their own realms as a part of the cosmos. You can look up the quintessence on your own time. I think they're famous enough. But suffice to say, he's describing the fifth dimension as threatening the lower or lesser cosmos. So that includes his realm. And the Spectre literally got sent off to beyond heaven and to the edge of the universe. Additionally, there's this. Zoriel. Zoriel, a little angel, is describing the fifth dimension as a higher dimension, or from one of the higher dimensions. Mind you, we must remember dimension can't be being used in a spatial sense, since heaven is beyond space and time, as well as the entirety of the realm that heaven resides in, or the plane of existence it resides in, called the God Sphere. But yeah, the fact that Spectre literally got one tapped and whatnot just shows that there's this fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is clearly beyond that. One of the most famous, even if unnamed and undescribed in the context robbed scans, look at Quiz, literally manipulating reality, and Overworld calls Kyle Rayner a flat man. He's saying he can move freely through time and hypertime. Additionally, if you read Mixopitlicus, which I'm not gonna list those, I might list those down below, but I'm not gonna say specifically here since I don't remember them off the top of my head. He's interacted with the writers before, so it makes sense that they're sort of being messed with in this dimensional sense. Like the panels are changing and whatnot. They're literally getting manipulated like they're comic book characters, causing more Sonian cosmology for DC. If you are in a higher plane of existence, not dimension, well, it's called a dimension, but it means plane of existence, you can manipulate people below you the same way we manipulate comic books. Be aware that the fourth dimension alone, as Mixie describes it, the fourth dimension is literally everything in the multiverse minus the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is being described as beyond even like the monitor sphere in the monitor realms, which is crazy. Look. The only things that aren't on the map he's holding are the overvoid itself and the source. So the overvoid and source are sixth dimensional in their plane of existence. And the fifth dimension or fifth plane of existence is his, which is beyond the multiverse, but below that. The fourth dimension literally includes the monitor sphere, which is, like I said, beyond limbo, which is itself a place where concepts degrade and stories degrade. And these concepts and stories can have literal ideas in them. So yeah, that honestly deals with all the deep nonsense he's Drip Sauce has been saying. I don't know why he's even called Drip Sauce. I think people with functioning brains and the ability not to deceive thousands are much more dripped out than he is. But yeah, let's go back to the video. I'm gonna not show as much scans and I'm gonna minimize my reactions to the cosmology part for DC.
The DC cosmology dimension has actually been referenced as spatial dimensions multiple times, and this scan mirror states that it isn't is literally a fake scan.
Firstly, that's an author statement from the guy who literally wrote the stuff about Perpetua in the six planes of existence. Secondly, we've already proven that Batman, someone who's quite knowledgeable on the fifth dimension, as he has his own fifth dimensional nemesis, or more so nuisance called Batmite, describes the fifth dimension not explicitly not as a mathematical dimension, but rather as a plane of existence. The fifth dimension is also described as imagination itself. So guys, be aware. Just because it's named dimension doesn't mean it is a dimension in the spatial temporal sense. This guy is blatantly lying. Like, I'd like to keep adding that as much as I can. But yeah, Divine. This is getting to be a long video, so I may have to send your little Christmas gift late on New Year's. Just kidding. I'll send part of it now and the other part on New Year's, debunking the whole Goku nonsense. Or I might grow too tired of it. Who knows?
DC cosmology in of itself has been heavily overrated for multiple years, but lucky for you guys, I'm currently working on a...
Luckily, no one is stupid enough to believe you, and if they happen to be fooled by you by their lack of knowledge on DC, which isn't their fault, really. Like, these guys are kind of good at narrating. They're kind of convincing sounding. But when you look at it and look into the comics yourselves, which I will be listing down below, you'll see they are capping heavy, lying. Like, if you told these guys to put it on their mamas would not be making it tomorrow type. Now, let's continue.
Massive debunk to DC's cosmology and why it actually doesn't get past six-dimensional. And trust me, the amount of evidence for that is insane.
The fact this man literally rides Goku, like Goku's his ride or die in scaling. But, well, like I said, we will get into that, I assure you.
Let's talk about Superman's feats and why they aren't as impressive as people think. The feat of Superman punching the World Forger is taken heavily out of context because, for one, the World Forger is weakened when he's within the multiverse.
The World Forger was literally said to be in the 6th dimension, and as he was in said 6th dimension, he was forging a whole new multiverse.
Literally agrees with Batman to align multiple stars so Superman can pass through them in order to amp himself to damage the world.
Superman was said to be moving so fast that the light didn't have time to interact with him. Superman can also outrace a photon, as stated in JLA Heaven's Ladder. So, like, I know this might come off as a little sketchy, a little weird, but it's arguable that Superman didn't even really get that much power, or if any, from the additional stars because he flew through them so fast. Furthermore, Superman was literally heavily weakened, so I can just argue that Superman got returned to a normal level of power, or that Superman got rejuvenated.
So Superman needs heavy amps before he can damage a far weakened version of a monitor from the 6th dimension.
Actually, I'm gonna pull out JLA Heaven's Ladder. It has another famous scan that no one actually says the comic issue of, as I've seen, and that no one has talked about this story really. So, yeah, today this is my Christmas gift. Information and where it's from. That's a rare combination nowadays. But, let's get into it. Here's the part where it says Superman can race a photon. This scan, I'm sure people have seen it all around. I'm sure everyone has. This is of quantum mechanics fighting. And to further elucidate, this is from a storyline called JLA Heaven's Ladder. Long story short, quantum mechanics, the entities formed at the beginning of the universe, have basically they're gonna die. So they've collected all these worlds with all the secret agents sent to them to get their ideas of heaven so that they can use those to make their own heaven. Long story short, they captured the 5th dimension, which is a whole other mess about how they outscaled the 5th dimension. But yeah, let's just get into the good stuff. Look, they literally flew directly to the fifth dimension, which is probably why they don't have any like depth, unlike the scan I showed where Quisp was grabbing Kyle Rayner by his arm. These guys are flat because they flew directly from space-time into the fifth dimensional planet. This part of the scan isn't talked about a lot, and neither is what comes after it. This guy literally has his dimensions punched out of him. These guys are zealots, to be aware. To remind, zealot and a quantum mechanic, part of the same species, but they are from outside of the fifth dimension. In the sense that they are not native to it, but they are residing in it currently. This guy has his dimensions punched out. So the fifth dimension, imagination itself, a concept, is punched out of him, followed by the concept of like hyper time and time are punched out of him, or higher dimensional time are punched out of him. So he becomes three-dimensional, quote unquote. Like Superman and Adam. Superman proceeds to absorb these dimensions, become fifth dimensional, and then punch through this quantum mechanics zealot. To be clear, Superman has the power to absorb dimensions. Not dimensions as in like spatial dimensions alone, but rather conceptual levels of existence. This is like very related to your being type of thing. I'd almost say it's ontological. He's literally absorbing imagination, the dimensions, or the conceptual planes of existence, or conceptual existence of imagination and hypertime, and then punches through a quantum mechanic, killing it. This is a Superman versus Goku video too, so I'm gonna go a little bit more into this. This is Flash talking about how the vibrational energy of the Zealots is unlike anything, and they can't really interact with it, right? Superman himself describes the Zealots as pure energy. Said pure energy was beyond even fifth dimension, the fifth dimension, which is pretty cool to think about. But yeah, these entities who are beyond the fifth dimension, who literally captured the fifth dimension and put it into one of their 230 worlds. Superman having his heat vision at the right frequency vibrated through Flash destroyed them. Well, not completely, but he disintegrated them basically. Meaning, and considering how this worked on Zealots who are pure energy, said energy forms were said to be even beyond, or not said, but they are beyond the fifth dimensional forms, or fifth dimensional imps, as they caught the imps, but they captured the imps world of Zerf. Yeah, Superman can vibrate too, such as when he did so to save the Omniverse. I'm sure you can look that scan up on your own time, and if I'm able to, I'll link it as well. But suffice to say, that means Superman possibly vibrating his heat vision or having it vibrated through something could unleash this. Not that Goku could survive it, or not that he'd need it, but still.
Had to weaken himself to a three-dimensional level to exist in the universe.
We've already been over how the third dimension isn't really just like 3D in our sense, but the World Forger, like I already explained, he was not reduced to the third dimensional level. Literally, Justice League Volume 4, 2018, and as well as just looking up the full scan where the World Forger explains what he is. Even sites like Quora are going to show you the full scan, and then you go, oh wait, he's in the sixth dimension, in his sixth dimensional form. Batman got his final Batsuit from a world forger in the 6th dimension where it was forged in the 6th dimension. Look up Final Batsuit. Look up World Forger. Look up World Forgers Forging Multiverse. Forging New Multiverse. JLA 2018. Look up any number of these keywords or buzz terms, if you will, and you will clearly see this man is lying to you verbatim. I'd almost laugh if I wasn't so disappointed in how Divine's allowed this.
Argument that concepts like weight, distance, temperature, and even space-time have largely lost their meaning to Superman, making him out-of-versal, is completely absurd, because it mentions space-time and distance within the exact same sentence, which are both worse. The argument that concepts like weight, distance, temperature, and even space-time have largely lost their meaning to Superman, making him out-of-versal, is completely absurd, because it mentions space-time and distance within the exact same sentence, which are both entailing the exact same thing, so it's pretty redundant for them to be repeating the statement. Also, it mentions...
Just because a statement is redundant doesn't mean that it's necessarily false, right? Additionally, distance can just be referring to like the conceptual distances between realms, seeing as how Superman has flown out of the source wall, and he'd be aware of this by the fact of Death Metal making everything canon, and by the fact that Convergence merged his post-crisis and New 52 selves. Yeah. At this point, I'm going to create a list of readings, and if you would like access to set a list of readings, I will then send you that link to that list of readings, because I'm not typing all of this out into the description all at once. Like, if you want it, just ask for this.
Temperature and weight as a part of those concepts, which makes it clear that it's not in reference to abstract concepts, hence it cannot...
We've explained already how Superman should be aware of time and hypertime via convergence, as well as space, and as well as the 6 planes of existence, meaning Superman bare minimum could be referring to the Speed Force wall and the bleed, which are all dimensions, including the reality or fiction transcending Earth 33, which at very least would make him outerversal, as it's called, or 1A. Or you can argue that when he says time, he means all concepts of time, which would include hypertime and possibly the God Sphere. Crazy, I know, but Superman issue 1042 or 52, 1050 I want to say, he beats up Calabac and Orion. So, maybe it's not that crazy. Who knows?
The out-of-versal. He even says they have largely lost their meaning to him. First of all, they would need to completely lose meaning to him in order for it to even be considered out-of-versal, and not just largely. And not even losing meaning, but losing value. Because something losing meaning to you doesn't imply that you scale above it. Superman is simply saying,
your words have lost meaning to me, meaning they've lost value too. Additionally, meaning would be more fundamental than value, no? I can find the meaning in something that is devoid of any value. Hypothetically, a god would find the meaning in human existence or the creation of humans, despite the fact that they are functionally valueless to him, physically, since they are physically and spatially and temporally all below him and all of that. The same applies with us in the works of fiction that we read. So, I don't know where that... Once again, this feels like a lack of thought. But yeah.
He's gotten faster and stronger, and that's it. Another argument is that Superman has speed that defies the common concepts of space and time, hence making him a relevant speed. But this is just in context to his speed being unbelievable, and the fact that it says common concepts is just in reference to mental ideas and not abstract concepts. It literally says through special warps known to him, so he accelerates for a long time till it reaches a certain speed where he's able to warp into a different realm. The DC cosmology
Torquasm around, Torquasm bow is all I have to say. Look into those.
is way too complex to be discussed in this video and is an entirely separate.
It also happens to be way too well understood by myself and other YouTubers for your disinformation to prove to be effective on a large scale. But I see that it's now time for you and Divine to start writing on Goku.
Video of itself, and the relationship between the cosmology and the people who scale to it is very complex. But I will be covering all of that on my channel very soon, as I've already scripted a video, so be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
I think I'll pass.
Turn on the notifications so you don't miss when I upload it. Alright, Divine, back to you.
But wait, let's say that everything was wrong. What if the bleed does contain an infinite number of higher dimensional spaces? What if that...
If you two ever have the audacity to upload another video about DC Comics, which I am less familiar with than Marvel. Oh, help you if you upload something on Marvel. I will find you. I will find the video. I will find the recordings of it saved on literally Instagram, wherever. And I will personally see to it that I at you and note out your responsibility for the spread of misinformation, not even misinformation, disinformation. I know you're better than this, Divine. Official Divine. Or so I thought. You seem to be going along with this, which contradicts your claim that this was entirely Drip Sauce's idea or explanation, but whatever.
Superman was right and the God Sphere holds objective concepts. What if Superman's strength was above the abstract concepts of space and time? And what if Superman actually does scale to the World Forger? That would mean the bleed alone is high hyperversal. The God Sphere would be outer versal. Limbo would transcend the God Sphere, making it one layer into outer. The monitors...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you transcend something in the same way that it transcends, like, space-time, isn't that like high outer versal? Like, right? Is that how you use that phrase?
Sphere transcends that, making it two layers. Beyond this
That
is the
should be like
source wall that
high
is a
outer
place
or
beyond
something.
thought itself, and Superman was able to shatter...
The source wall is literally, I know for a fact the source wall is conceptually superior to everything in the multiverse. I know that for a fact. But yeah.
Meaning Superman would be 3 layers into outer versal with a relevant speed. With Superman's strength laid out on the table, a new question arises. How strong is Earth's angel? Sun...
I'm actually going to, you guys are gonna love this. And by love this, I mean despise this. We've only got through half of this video, and we've already made an hour out of the complete shamble and nonsense that he made. But you guys are gonna see the two-facedness of Divine. Drip Sauce is a different story. I have not personally encountered this guy up to this point, but I have seen some of his videos and I've seen the clear bias he has. I do know someone, I think, who debated him, but I will be adding some YouTubers because they've made their own debunks on this video and they've done a pretty good job, and I want to thank them for really starting the whole making a debunk on this. Originally, I was going to maybe post on TikTok and maybe on YouTube or the YouTube posts comments thing a debunk, but these guys made me realize they weren't even talking about some of the stuff that I knew about for this and that I think everyone should know about. So thanks to them and thank you to you for listening. But now we're going to get into the hypocrisy the long-awaited part of this video. 3,800 was 70 seconds. Giddy. I'm going to show you the absolute hypocrisy and idiocy of this fool. Let's get into it right now.
Scaling Lucifer Morningstar. Let's go. Lucifer Morningstar, a being that's been alive even before the creation of the DC universe. He was originally an angel known as Shamael, and one of the two beings created by the Presence. The Presence is the most powerful being in all of DC. Lucifer and his brother Michael are so powerful.
Let's be clear. In the JLA, Dark Knights and death metal and all that stuff, Dream literally talks about Barbados as well as the World Forger and the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor. This is Daniel Hall of the Endless. He has the same knowledge as Dream of the Endless. This same Dream states that he is weaker than Lucifer, and that Lucifer is the most powerful being in creation, save perhaps his father. Meaning, these characters that Dream knows about are still under Lucifer Morningstar. That clears that up, guys. That clears this whole Lucifer versus Perpetua or Barbados versus Michael's nonsense and all that. Lucifer is Lucifer is above them, and Michael is arguably above even Lucifer because he kicked him out of heaven. But that's not even what I was here to talk about. But I will probably reference this in another video. So if you're from another video in the future, hey, and yeah, let's get back into the whole debunk, or not debunk, hypocrisy exposing.
That they created everything in DC, literally everything. But all of this power got to Lucifer's head. He felt like a god and decided to rebel against the Presence. As punishment, he got sent to hell. Lucifer wants to create a reality separate from the Presence, but the one he made is extreme.
I don't want to bring religion into this, but Divine, that was inaccurate. You told it as it was in religion, rather than how it happened in DC Comics. In DC Comics, Lucifer was given the realm of hell to rule over when he said he did not want to be ruled over by his father or be with his father. I'm sure you can look up that infamous scan of him in armor, literally fighting the Presence, or fighting the army, and when the Presence shows up in his light form.
Vast. The sphere of the gods is stated to be a platonic realm, meaning that would make it outerversal. Limbo is a place that even transcends the god sphere where everybody goes when they die, making Limbo one layer into outer. The Monitor sphere transcends this, making it 2 layers into outer. The source wall
I've already explained how this is all wrong, but let's continue. Ooh, Doctor Doom reference.
transcends that, making it 3 layers into outer. You see where I'm going with this? Fifth-dimensional beings see all of this on a 2-dimensional plane, and even they can perceive the 6th dimension. This is where beings like Perpetua reside.
You literally just said that Superman scales to 6th-dimensional beings. Mind you, you didn't really say that. You were just saying that sort of to try and make it look like you were overhyping or highballing Superman. But he does scale to a 6th-dimensional being at his peak, technically. And arguably not peak, but that's a whole other thing. But Superman also, I showed, JLA Heaven's Ladder scales to 5th-dimensional beings if he can absorb the dimensions. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see where you got him.
And now we're finally at the top, the Overvoid. This is a place that is at the very top of DC. Everything, every dimension, every realm is all below the Overvoid. Many have tried to overcome the Overvoid, even the Presence itself, and now it's his turn. Lucifer plunges himself into the Overvoid, but it's not certain if he implied his will over it or just simply became it. In the death of his brother Michael, the explosion was so powerful that it was only matched by the creation of the DC universe itself.
Pretty sure that was just saying the Overvoid's so big, it's like he became it, because he, like, shrunk in it. Like, he just sort of faded in out of existence because he was that small in comparison to the Overvoid. But, whatever.
Overall, I scale Lucifer Morningstar to 6 layers into outer with irrelevant speed.
I'd like to note to everyone that Perpetua scales above the Overvoid. Like, not the entirety of the realm, but she scales to it, / above the Overvoid itself, as she used the Overvoid, manipulated it into so that she could create her 3 sons. You can feel free to look that up. But yeah, look up Perpetua manipulates Overvoid to create 3 sons, or how were the 3 brothers in DC created. But yeah, and Superman, you said, scales to World Forger. But that aside, you excluded the 5th dimension, as well as the source wall. Well, you said, if I remember correctly, you said Superman was 3 layers into Outer Versal, but by your own logic, it would be what? God Sphere, Limbo, Monitor Sphere, 5th dimension, or Source Wall, 5th dimension. So that would be what? 5 layers, not including the fact that Superman literally, by your own admission, scales to World Forger, who is 6th dimensional. So that would be 6 layers, and your Lucifer scale was trash, bro. But yeah, let's get into the rest of this too. Oh, this is just a screenshot of when he made some of these videos. Oh boy, things I do. Let's see. I'm gonna show some scans. I'm not gonna really say much, but suffice to say, these will show the DC cosmology, particularly the God Sphere, and how it is infinite and possibly infinitely layered. I can further elaborate into arguments about that. On in Discord, but just DMs, nothing like crazy. But yeah. Not just to remind that Lucifer, who is literally nigh omniscient, also says at one point that they're Lucifer is literally in the presence of these perfect Platonic shapes, and literally beings in heaven live in heaven, so they of course would know about, like, they know about the things in heaven, the doy. And of course, the talk about how the new gods use hunter-killer metaphors, which a metaphor literally isn't physical. It's known for not being physical, and metaphors are often known for not even being literal or logical in understanding. And just to remind once again, heaven and hell are both infinite, and they are equal in size. So if you say heaven is infinitely layered, hell is also. And Superman, of course, Superman number 15, he broke out of hell and was put into the Overvoid. He was put into the Overvoid by Neuron before breaking out of the Overvoid back into hell and bursting through its infinite layers. Superman number 15. Read that, guys. It's really good. And then there's going to be the scan of Perpetua being described on the 6th dimension.